Throughout this course, we've been bundling various plugins with our theme. We even have a custom plugin developed. Forcing the user to manually download each plugin would be a pain. It would be nice if the user could download all the plugins at once. We could just download it and then include it with PHP, but this would be inefficient. We would have to manually update each plugin every time one of them gets updated. It would also bloat our plugin heavily. Can you imagine having to manage your plugin along with 10 other plugins? It would be disastrous. The more efficient solution would be to notify the user of the required plugins and then help them install those plugins with a simple UI. That would take a lot of code to write. Luckily, there's a solution that helps with bundling plugins and making the process so much smoother. That solution is called TGM Plugin Activation. In the resource section, I provide a link to this class. This class handles a lot of the work for us and it does exactly what we need. It'll check the user's WordPress site and their plugins. It'll check if the site contains the plugins needed. If they don't have those plugins, then it'll add a warning notice and instruct the user to install those plugins. It'll also provide a UI for installing those plugins. It's a very lightweight class. It's just one file, so you don't have to worry about your theme being bloated. Let's get started. First, we need to download this file. Go to the Downloads section. You're allowed to download this plugin without any modifications, but there's this handy little generator that takes care of modifying the plugin to suit our needs. I'm going to set this to work with our theme, and for the fields, I'm going to input our theme's settings like so. Feel free to follow along. After setting up this field, click Generate. You should receive a zip file. There are a lot of files inside this zip file, but the only file we care about is the class-tgm-plugin-activation.php file. Let's open the Udemy theme folder and navigate to the Includes folder. Create a new folder called libs and drop this file into this folder. Open your code editor and require this file from within the functions file. We use the require once function instead of the include function because this is what the developers recommend. So we'll heed their advice. Keep in mind that this class can also be used in plugins. This can possibly cause errors as we may get errors related to redefining an existing class. Luckily, we don't have to do anything because the developers have taken care of this for us. If you were to open this class, you'll find the class is wrapped inside this conditional statement. This statement will check if this class has already been defined. If it has, then it won't be redefined. Like I said before, this is a great piece of code to use in your theme or plugin. Alright. Now we can begin using this class. Inside the zip file, there is another file called example.php that provides a very detailed example on how to use this class. It's neatly commented and all examples are clear. After this course, I highly recommend you take the time to look over this example file so that you can get the most out of it. The first step we need to take is to use an action hook called TGMPA register. The function to call is JU register required plugins. Create a file inside the includes folder called register-plugins.php and define the function here. Include this file from the functions file. We're first going to create an array called plugins. This will be an array of plugins our theme requires. Each plugin we want to require will also be an array. First, we need to determine which plugins we want to come bundled with our theme. Go to the plugins admin page. We have some plugins here that are only for development purposes, so we don't want to bundle those. I'm going to deactivate some and we'll go over the ones we do want to bundle. Alright, so I just deactivated some plugins. Here are the plugins I want to come bundled with our theme. AdSense Integration WP Quads, BuddyPress, Recipe, Regenerate Thumbnails, WooCommerce, WordPress Popular Posts, and WP Subtitle. Let's start with the WP Quads plugin. To add a plugin to the array, you just add another array. The array must have certain keys so TGM knows which plugin to grab from the WordPress plugin repository. The first key is the name of this plugin. We can grab this from the plugin page, which is AdSense Plugin WP Quads. The next key to set is the slug. This would be the plugin's unique URL from the WordPress repository. You can grab this from the URL of the plugin page. You don't need the whole URL, just this bit that says quick-adsense-reloaded. Lastly, we can set the required key. We have two options here. If we set this to true, then this class will tell the user this plugin is required for the theme to work. If false, then WordPress will recommend this plugin instead. It's up to you whether a plugin is required or recommended. I'm going to set this to false. I'm going to pause the video and do this for the other plugins except for the custom recipe plugins, as those require different settings. Alright, so I added the plugins. All I did was I went to each plugin repository page and grabbed the title and URL from that page. The last plugin we need to include is the custom plugin we developed. This plugin is not available anywhere. There are two solutions here. We can upload our plugin to the repository, but that takes a long time, and I just want this plugin to be exclusive to this theme. Luckily, TGM is also willing to look for plugins in other locations, like inside your own theme. Here's what I want you to do. Zip up the recipe plugin and cut the zip file. Next, open the Udemy theme folder, create a folder called Plugins, and paste it inside here. Now we just have to let TGM know about this plugin. Add another array and set the name to recipe. The slug should be set to the name of the plugin folder, which is recipe. The next key is a must, which is source. This path can be a system path or an HTTP URL. I'm going to use the function getTemplateDirectory and then append the path to the recipe plugin zip file. Lastly, I'm going to set the required key to true. Next, we need to create an array called config. This will contain the settings for the class. There are a lot of settings we can set, but the following are the only ones we care about. ID. This is a unique ID. Keep in mind that we can use this class multiple times. We want to make sure that these plugins and settings are related to our theme only. I'm going to set this to Udemy. Menu. This is the menu slug that WordPress will use for displaying the UI. The recommended path is TGMPA-install-plugins. Parent slug. This will be the page to use for displaying the UI. Once again, it's recommended we use the themes.php file. Capability. Who can install and activate the plugins? We'll be using the Edit Theme Options capability. Has notices. A Boolean value which will determine whether or not the admin will be notified about the required plugins. We want to set this to true. Dismissible. Whether or not the notice messages can be dismissed. Set this to true, as we don't want to annoy users with irremovable notices. The very last step is to call a function called TGMPA. This function has two parameters, which is the plugins to install and then the configuration settings. That's it. Let's go to the plugins page. We should see nothing change so far, but let's deactivate BuddyPress for a moment. You'll now see a notice telling us that the theme recommends BuddyPress as an activated plugin. Let's click Install Plugins. We now have this table of plugins to install along with additional information. Activate BuddyPress again. Just like that, we were able to install and activate a third-party plugin with very little code and work. Now we don't have to worry about keeping track of this plugin, as WordPress will do it for us. All thanks to the TGMPA class.